Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today. Okay, I have to ask you, are you making this mistake in your coaching or service-based business? And the mistake is under tracking. Now, what I mean by this is tracking things that are critical measures of success towards your specific goals. And that's going to look a little bit different for everyone. And what has worked in the past for your business, you're going to base what you track depending on that. But I do see a lot of entrepreneurs just kind of scrambling together ideas all the time and jumping from idea to idea and never having data or any way of tracking in their business, tracking their progress, tracking certain things. So we're going to talk about some examples of what my clients track in the inner circle, what I track, and how you can start tracking to drastically improve your results. And just the simple act of tracking will get you better results. They've done studies where they have people write down their goals every day and they're like 80% more likely to achieve them. I don't know the exact percentage, but it's something crazy like that. They've also done research on people who track like their income and expenses and they spend less or they make more just because they're tracking it and looking at it. So just the simple act of tracking doesn't entitle you to better results, but it does naturally tend to get you thinking more focused in a more focused way and paying attention and making better decisions as a result of that tracking. So the first thing that's most important to track, if your goal is to get clients and your goal is to have discovery calls, then you want to be tracking how many offers or pre-offers, and I'll explain what that is in a second, are you making per week. So in other words, how often are you talking about your freebie, aka your lead magnet, aka inviting people to it, making offers specifically for people to join your email list and giving them that link and that opportunity? How many times are you doing that? Because if that in your business has follow-up emails that invite to a discovery call or follow-up sales emails, that's going to be a great way to be making offers every week. So one thing that a lot of my clients track is how many pre-offers they're making, how many, and that's like a free offer that comes before a paid offer. So your lead magnet is a pre-offer, or free training is a pre-offer. You going live and then making the announcement of how people can book a call with you or work with you can count as a pre-offer, those kinds of things. The other types of offers you want to be tracking is how many collaboration or partnership outreaches are you making, or invites to a discovery call or a free session with you, or something that could lead into your paid offer. So a lot of times my clients will do podcast pitches or local partnership pitches or things like that, or JV partnership, meaning partnering with somebody with their email list and things like that, or pitch themselves for a summit or conference or something like that. Tracking the amount of outreach you're doing for that is a great thing to do if you're trying to get out there more, if you want to get more visibility, because at the end of the day, the number of offers you make minus the no's you get equal your results. So you definitely want to be tracking your pre-offers, your offers, your number of discovery calls, and evaluating those discovery calls afterwards. How did it go? What maybe could you have done differently? How were your listening skills? What did you learn from that call? What kind of market research feedback did you get from that call? Really evaluating the discovery calls you have, which isn't technically tracking, but it is a part of getting data and it's a part of the evaluation process, which is just as important as the tracking part. So with all that you're tracking, be sure to sometimes evaluate and be like, hey, what's working within making pre-offers? What's not working? What do I want to improve this week? That kind of thing. Okay, another thing to track is your revenue and expenses, of course, which seems obvious, but a lot of you wait till the end of the year, or you don't track it every month, or it's messy and it's in 10 different places. So you got to get a better system with that. And obviously you can have someone like a bookkeeper or an accountant do all that for you. But most of you starting out will do it yourself. And then at the end of the year, put it all together for an accountant, or, have a bookkeeper do some help with you, and then do your taxes and all that stuff. So just make sure you're tracking it regularly, and make sure you're tracking what's your top seller. What kind of, months tend to be the highest for you. Start to pay attention to those things so that in the future you can plan ahead of time. Like, wow, in March, I really need to be on. I really need to be taking advantage of that time period because it tends to be a higher month for me, or something like that. Now that will switch, of course, every year, but the longer you track, the more you'll be able to recognize the consistent patterns. So I've been tracking a lot of things for many years, and I can look back at my habits. I can look back at what's worked, and it's very helpful for me to decide and know what to prioritize in my business, because I can look back at all the data. Like, I know which partners produced the most email subscribers, clients, things like that. So I know what kind of partnerships to prioritize reaching out to, because I've gotten that feedback, right? So that's another thing to track. Another thing to track is any important weekly targets for your business. So if you want to have the target of posting 3 times a week, then decide you're going to track that. Decide what those 3 posts are going to be. Is it going to be a value post, a testimonial post, and a offer post? Is it going to be a freebie promotion post, objection busting post, and whatever else? But decide what that's going to be as your posting protocol. You can track that. You can track habits, like you want to be scroll free. So like, track your not to do habits. Like, I don't want to waste time on social media. And so one of my habits I'm going to track is being scroll free Monday through Friday, or whatever it is for you, or being scroll free from 9 to 5 p.m. or whatever, and only using social media for my business. So think about, what are those little targets of the week? How many posts am I trying to do? What are my not to do's that I want to track? What are my business habits that keep me in check or keep my clients in check? Maybe there's a habit you want to track, that you check in with your clients two times a week at noon or whatever. Maybe you want to have other habits like tracking. I'm trying to think what's on our, in my inner circle, we create what's called a business protocol, and it allows my clients to, tally up how are they doing with their targets, and at the end of the week be able to see, did I do my targets or did I not do my targets? And usually what's on there are things like the posting protocol, the number of offers they're making or pre-offers, things like that. But if there's other things you want to add because you specifically are trying to get outside your comfort zone with a new skill, or you specifically are in a course and you want to look at the modules every week and you want to put that in your protocol to have, like, do 1 module a week or whatever it is, those are good things to add too. Okay, other things to track. I use a habit tracker and do track other habits that impact my business. So even though it may not be directly correlated, like for example, I track my bedtime because I know if I go to bed too late all the time, that's not good for my energy. And so I do track that, and I use the Goal Streaks app or my habit tracker app that I have and use with clients. And that's one thing that I do. I also track my marketing minutes. So, going back to, you can either have a target number of offers or pre-offers you're making every week, like we talked about, or you can start by setting a time target for yourself. Like, I'm going to do 30 minutes of marketing minutes a day or whatever it may be. But if you are really, and one thing I'm going to tell you is, if you're a new coach or new service provider, your main job is marketing right now, because you probably don't have a whole client roster you're working with. So you have to make your full-time job almost marketing and putting yourself out there until you get to a point where referrals are now coming in and you got to keep marketing, keep visible, but you can eventually build more systems around it, have more team around it, things like that. So that would be another thing to track. The other thing that I do, and going back to the evaluation process, is every week look back at your tracking and do an evaluation of asking what went well, what didn't go well, what do I want to improve, what did I learn, what did I accomplish this week? And track even your losses, because those count as results. I'd much rather see a client come to me with a list of results, like I didn't get a yes on this discovery call, I did this post, it got crickets or whatever. I'd rather have that information first, because then we can improve it and refine it, than them saying, I hit all week, I didn't track anything, I'm starting over, I have a million ideas, but I haven't gotten to any of them. So the evaluation process is just as important as the tracking process, and you want to do both. So these are just a couple examples. I went way more in depth on this actually for my clients on my private client podcast, where I am doing a 30-day sales challenge for them, where we're breaking down what are the steps to be making sales consistently. And one of the days was focused specifically on tracking and what to track and how to track it. And I give them, tools to track it and all that kind of stuff. And so if you are interested in that, you can comment in our circle or call, and we can book a free call to see if that's a fit for you in the new year. But what I want to challenge you to do and take away from this video is, what's one thing that would have a domino effect on your business if you did it consistently, and how can you turn it into a trackable target or habit each week? What you cannot turn into, just a side note, do not just turn into, don't say, oh, I'm just going to track the number of clients I get each week. You have to start steps before that. What leads to clients? Track that. What leads to clients is maybe your emails you're sending to your list, your promotion of your lead magnet to get people on your list, your invites to discovery calls. How many of those are you doing? Things like that. So just make sure that the things you're tracking are actually trackable and not just the end results. Take it to the steps before that lead to that. And I would love to hear what's that one thing that you're going to start tracking, and how are you going to be tracking it? Are you going to use a spreadsheet? Are you going to use an app? Are you going to use a journal? Are you going to use a habit tracker, planner, whatever it is? Totally fine to be flexible on the way you want to track, but do track it. And I can't wait to hear what that is for you. Thanks so much for watching.
So much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful, and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.